To him now. Hello, Mr. Jennings. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Hanging in there in Nashville. About to do this Dylan Fest thing and getting ready to come up there.
Sounds great. Now, of course, your name, Waylon Albright Jennings, and I guess probably one of the most questions you get asked all the time is, where did Shooter come from? How did you get the name Shooter?
Well, my parents nicknamed me that the minute I was born. My dad would have told you it was because I went on the nurse when I was born, but I think they had kind of had a name picked out ahead of time as a nickname, you know. And my mom was always like, I couldn't imagine calling him little baby Waylon, so they came up with another name, and it just kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm. I know everyone knows your parents, of course, country music legends Jesse Coulter and Waylon Jennings. What was it like growing up in your house? I mean, you got two country legends on the road a lot. Did you go on the road with them? What was it like growing up with superstar parents?
Man, I mean, you know, you're born into it, so it seems pretty normal. When I was little, they were touring a lot. It was at the peak of kind of the post-Outlaw, like 79 is when I was born. So that's when you had, like, old Waylon out, and him and Willie were doing the Hollywood Bowl and stuff like that. And so I traveled with them until I started school, you know, and then I would travel with them in the summers. But, you know, they were great parents, man. I mean, my dad was great, you know, in getting to see his love of music and my mom's love of music and kind of falling in love with music myself and having supportive parents about that was awesome. But they were great parents. I mean, on a very, you know, normal kind of level. Like, my dad was very attentive, and I was lucky. I think I was born after he'd figured a lot of things out, so I actually got some time with them and traveled a lot. It was wonderful, man. They were great parents.
Did your parents, did they encourage you to follow in their path and get into music, or did they kind of leave that up to you?
They kind of left it up to me, man. I mean, you know, my mom, when I finally started playing music, I mean, she's the first thing I ever played her, she's like, told me it sounded like a bunch of bowling balls hitting trash cans that I had made, you know, but then once I started to get into it, she'd be like, "Are you sure you want to do this? I mean, it's crazy." You know? But they were very supportive, but they never tried to steer me in that direction. I just naturally fell in love with music at a very young age.
Now, did they protect you from the media? Of course, everyone wants a picture or to see the child of Jesse and Waylon. Did they try to protect you and shelter from the media, or did they just put you out there?
I guess we were kind of, I mean, they weren't really the type to, like, go out and socialize, like, so we didn't really, you know, we kind of had our house, and there were, like, country music tour buses that would go by the house, but that was about the extent that I saw. I mean, I'm sure there was stuff when I was really little that I'm unaware of, but they were, you know, it was pretty normal, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, believe it or not, it was pretty normal, and it, you know, and like when I know when I was a kid, you know, when I was like 12 years old, 10, 12 years old, and I'd go to the mall with my dad, I'd tell him to pretend I'd tell him to say you're his cousin, you know, like, because people would walk up to him, and I would be getting annoyed that we couldn't really get through a mall, you know, without him being bothered. But you know, it wasn't like Hollywood, you know, where there's like paparazzi and there's all this crap like now. It was very simple, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were in high school, when you first started your bands and got to be in bands, you were into rock music. Were you into the hard rock music or what?
I mean, I was definitely, you know, the way I got into music was through rock. I mean, I liked my dad's music and stuff, but I wasn't like a country kid. Like, Guns N' Roses, when I was like 7, when I heard that band, I was like, oh, this is exciting. You know, this is some dangerous music. And then, like, the band Nine Inch Nails really got me. That was really what made me start playing music, because I was a computer kid. I was into computers, and I played piano a little bit and played drums a little bit. And Trent Reznor was doing all this music by himself with his computers. And so to me, that was kind of first thing where I said, hey, I can do this, you know. And so I kind of got into it from there. And then I got in, you know, I started falling in love with, like, 70s music, and I got into David Bowie, and I got into all that. And once I'd kind of, like, explored all the sides of rock that I could, I started to fall in love with country for real when I was in my early 20s. And that's when I kind of started to really understand the songwriting, and it wasn't just about the music. And so, I kind of embarked on a whole falling in love with and exploring all the different aspects of country. And I'm just like a guy who loves lots of music, like always have been. I mean, I've been a radio DJ for 11 years on Sirius, and it's like for that, doing that has been so much fun because it allows me to keep looking and finding new music and going back to stuff that I love and sharing all the different types of genres. Because I've never really believed that you're supposed to like stay inside any kind of fence and you're going to play music depending on, if it's country or rock or whatever. Like, do what you want and do what you can do better than anyone else. That's kind of how I look at it. So find your spot.
Right. Now, you were talking about being DJ on the radio. I guess you're talking about being on the Sirius XM Outlaw Country channel with the show you do?
Yeah, I've been doing my electric radio for 11 years on that, which has been, awesome, man. I mean, to have that outlet and opportunity to play other artists that are new and up and coming and stuff, it's great, man. And the people over there, it's just gotten better and better. I know that the serious world isn't quite like broadcast radio world, but it's becoming a pretty serious entity, no pun intended,
Now, I know your dad was considered an outlaw, David Allen Cole, Johnny Cash. Now people are talking about Shooter Jennings, the outlaw. Do you like that title? How would you define an outlaw anyway?
Man, I don't know. That term has always bugged me because nowadays you have all these kind of new guys that claim to be outlaws, and these are kids who played Pokemon in high school that somehow now are dressing in leather and have long beards. So I would never consider myself an outlaw. I mean, I definitely would say that, I think the original terminology, even though it was made as a marketing tool, was to kind of outline this group of people that they couldn't define because their music was so different than what the mainstream country was, and it was like a different style, and they kind of refused to go along with the rules, So in that way, I know that I do a lot of stuff that probably people were like, I do what I want. So in that way, I'll stick with that kind of moniker, but outlaw is kind of, it's kind of a used up. It was done once, and it can't be done again, I think.
Now, when you switched from the hard rock to the country, you also had a chance to join Velvet Revolver. They wanted you to be the front man for that. And
at least audition. I had the option to audition, but I was so nervous about it. At first, I didn't even know it was real, and then I kind of, but I don't think I ever would have been. I mean, for sure, not as good as like a Scott Weiland was in that piece, but I did have the opportunity to play with those guys, and I'm still friends with them. Matt Sorum, the drummer from GNR, and I just did a project together, so that was really cool to actually get to work with him in the studio, So, yeah, man. I mean, hey, I moved to LA when it's 17 years ago, so I gotta find a gutter somewhere that I'm comfortable with.
Now, when you switched from country, rock to country, was it receptive? Did your fans and people that stuck with you and your band members? Was it a receptive type, encouraging thing, or did they kind of frown on that? And did you ever think maybe I made a mistake?
Well, it wasn't a hard switch for me. I mean, it was really like I wanted to break, because our band that I had before, which we did some country covers in it. It would definitely have country mixed into it, but I was really getting into more of the. I wanted to hit some of the more quieter dynamics musically. So the first record, putting it back in country, it was kind of a logical step from where I was. Everything I've done has been kind of it all ties into the last thing. So, I think that there were some people in the very beginning that were like, oh, I knew him when he was into rock and now he's playing country, but that means they didn't listen to the record because the record has lots of the whole point of it was to be able to mix in what I considered to be cool sounding rock and roll into country, because now at the time everybody was just kind of this watered down Skinner rip-off stuff going on, and we were into real music and into real rock and roll guitar players and bands, so it's why not bring all that into country music, you know what I mean? So it wasn't really a hard step to me. It all kind of matched.
One project you had a few years ago, you were on CMT Crossroads with Jamie Johnson. I bet that was amazing.
That was awesome, and I was in the middle. It was funny because Jamie and I had been friends a long time, and I had just finished this record called Black Ribbons that I had not even released yet, and we had Stephen King on the album, and it was a pretty dark, in a lot of moments heavy record musically, and Jamie came to me and was like, they want me to do a Crossroads, but I said I won't do it with anybody but you, and I was like, okay, but I'm not playing the 4th of July. That was, So we went in there, and it was funny because we actually broke out some of the new songs off of the Black Ribbons record, which had yet to come out, and we did some really cool, different things with it. And it was, we were probably like one of the biggest pains in the butt that CMT has had on a Crossroads thing, because Jamie and I were both over here standing for different battles. Like, we thought we were on the same page, and I think we were fighting for two completely different things, neither one of which they wanted to give us, and it was like the whole day was push and pull, but by the end of it, I loved how it turned out.
Mm-hmm. Not only have you performed and, of course, doing the concerts, but also you dabbled into acting, too. You played your dad in the Johnny Cash film Walk the Line. New experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, that was the single moment when I realized that I don't want to act. Was that when I did that, because we did that. I mean, that was 2003. That was before my first record came out and everything. And I went in there thinking, oh, hey man, I'm going to change just a couple things. I just got to act like kind of natural. It'll be fine, man. And I realized very quickly that it's very hard to act naturally in that situation. It's like you have to be really good at playing make believe. And I don't think I was ever good enough to play make-believe that good. So I decided from this point on, I love movies. I would love to write them, direct them at some point, that kind of stuff. I'm really into. I love that, but the acting side of it is definitely not my thing.
Do you like writing songs?
I love writing songs. I love making music. I love recording in the studio more than anything there is. That's my favorite place to be. I've been producing a lot of records lately, and I'm loving doing that, and just having fun making record after record now. Singer,
songwriter, performer, producer, film, you make films. What other hats do you see yourself wearing in the future?
Man, I don't know. It's like, to me, the creation process, like, I've dabbled in lots of different things, but it keeps me energetic. I love writing things. I love creating. I love doing anything that one person can do by themselves. Like, that's kind of that's why movies are like so tough. You gotta do so much to make a movie happen. Like, it's like making a record. You just go in the studio and come out with a record, and writing a book, you can just sit there and write a book, So anything creative like that, I'll always keep doing, and I'll always keep trying new things. That's for sure.
Now, you're going to be at Headliners in Louisville on the 25th, and might mention that tomorrow night and Wednesday night you're doing shows at the Ryman. That's going to be a heck of an experience, too. Anytime you walk on the Ryman stage.
Oh, man, yeah, this is Bob Dylan Fest, too, So we're doing Dylan songs and all these great artists, so I'm very excited about that. I'm excited that my good friend Justin Wells is opening the show in Louisville, so want people to come down and see him too. He's great. He's in a band called Fifth on the Floor that I produced a record on years ago, and he's got a great album out. So, it's going to be a great show.
When people come out to the show Thursday night, what can you expect at a Shooter Jennings concert? How would you label your music, if you do label it? And do you play mostly originals? Do you do some covers? Do you do your parents' music? What can you hear at a Shooter Jennings show?
Man, if people have bought my records, it's like stuff off of everything. It's like off of every single record. We're playing several tunes, and it's a loud show, but it's fun and energetic, and we jump all over the place. We'll do the songs that my dad did in there. I usually kind of throw one of those in there, but I mean, pretty much everything. My whole career is kind of in the show, so we've been excited about it. This band is great. I've been hitting the road hard, and we're just having a great time. We just having big crowds. It's nice to see like crowds kind of really coming out these days. It feels like.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't want to get too far into your personal life, but everybody knows you got a couple of children. Have you noticed any musical inclination in them? Will you encourage them to get into music, or just follow their own dreams, or how's that going to work?
I mean, I'm definitely letting them follow their own muses, but it's like my daughter already can play piano, and like she's ahead of me. It's just crazy because like my daughter and son both have learned piano lessons and stuff. My daughter's like 10, and she basically like, I'll come in and she'll be playing one of my songs, and then she'll just stop, or like I'll teach her a part. Like I taught her the theme song for Zelda, the old Nintendo game, the other day, and I didn't know the second half of it. The next time I saw her, she learned the second half from like a YouTube video and was playing the whole thing, and I was just like, good Lord, So they're very smart, and I want them to follow their heart and whatever they want to do. I'm not going to push them in any direction, but if they want to get into music, I'll do whatever I can to help.
New projects coming up. Anything you want to share? You got some albums coming up. I know you're always writing. What can people expect in the future?
Yeah, man, I've got a record done and another one working on for myself, and I just finished producing Julie Roberts, who was always one of my favorite country singers. We did a record that took us about a year and a half, and it's done now, so we're going to be trying to get that out there. And I just finished a record co-producing with Dave Cobb on Brandy Carlisle. So I've just been busy, man. We've been working and trying to put out a bunch of music. I've got a record label called Black Country Rock, and we put out 43 releases, so we're kind of just constantly putting out new material. You can just keep up with me at shooterjennings.com, and you'll know where it all is, you know.
Yeah. Social media, as you mentioned, you got a Facebook page, you've got the website, so people can keep up with you there. And, of course, you're going to be at Headliners on Thursday night. Tickets still available. Going to be a heck of a show. And I just thank you so much for calling in today. It has been a true honor talking to Mr. Shooter Jennings.
Oh, thank you, man. It's been great. And I love Kentucky, so I can't wait to get up there.